again, welcome. We've had you on so many times now over the last few years. This is something that's near and dear to somebody like me because every time I talk to you, I'm always like, yo, when I was a kid, Seattle, there were so many black firefighters. They used to have the fireman's ball and all these kind of things. I'm always talking about, man, where are the black firefighters at? And right now, you guys, the Seattle Fire Department is doing recruitment, right?
Absolutely. What an amazing opportunity it is right now. Our applications are open. They opened on March 1st and they close on April 19th. And the way everyone can get that information is go to seattlefirefighting.com. And we are so excited to announce this to the community. And we're really trying to reach out to the community because this is an opportunity. You know, we want our firefighters to be from Seattle. They understand the community. They know what's going on here in the community. So that's the target that we have right now.
Right. And what are some of the perks of being a firefighter in the city of Seattle?
Well, number one, you get to serve the community. That's what really this job is about. It's a servant's heart. It's a heart for service. You know, we get to do things and see things that are really, really difficult. But when you leave the call, you've made a difference in someone's life. You know, the firefighters, they start off making about $82,000 a year. And the basic requirements are a high school education and a GED or diploma and 18 years of age. And so that's a pretty good starting salary. Our schedule is pretty good too. It's about 8 24-hour shifts a month. But during that 24-hour shift, you're probably going to be busy. If you live in the city, you probably hear our sirens around the clock. So we're always doing something.
Right. And the firefighting is one of these things where it's actually a real deal process. It's not one of them show up, fill out the application and everything else. And I think this is probably why you're being very intentional about the intake. Can you talk about the actual process of applying to when you end up on the street?
Absolutely. You know, we want our candidates to come in very well prepared. So we're doing a lot of things to help with that. So I'll talk you through the process. So our applications are open right now, and you get our applications by going to seattlefirejobs.com. Once you get the applications, you'll schedule yourself a written test. Right now, everything's online. So you're able to do your written test from one of the centers that we have here in Seattle or even from your own home. So once you do your written exam and you score, based on how you score, you'll get an oral interview. Once you get the oral interview, based on how you rank on the list, then we'll move you down to the next line. There's a physical abilities test, there's a medical, there's a background, there's a psych. And then once you get through all of those things and we select you, then you start our recruit training program, which is about a 15-and-a-half-week program where we really show you the basics of being a firefighter, pulling hose, throwing ladders, EMS, the structure of the organization, all the things that we do on a daily basis.
Yeah. And so what's that timeline look like?
Well, the hiring process that we have going on right now, we're targeting February of 2023 for the first class to come off of this process. Our lists are generally good for 2 years. So, but the first class off of this list is February of 2023.
Right. And you said that starting pay at like $82,000. You need a high school diploma. And what was one other thing?
18 years of age, high school diploma or GED.
Right. And I could say this, you guys have really ramped up your messaging about recruitment and about recruitment in the city and about recruitment in our community. Why is that?
Well, we think it's important. You know, we're trying to touch the community. This is a great job. And we're just trying to get the word out. We're trying to share it. We're trying to go into places that we haven't been in the past to make those new connections in the community. And that's why the King County Fire Chiefs, we're even taking it a step further. I think when I came last time, we were having a diversity recruitment workshop in Bellevue on December 11th. This time we're hosting it right here in Seattle on April the 9th. And that's a really big deal for us. And anyone interested there, they can go to the King County Fire Chief's website and they can actually click the button and register to be there.
Right. I think we got an overlay of that. Do we got an overlay somehow? We'll make sure and put it up again here. Man, maybe you could share with everybody a little bit about your journey into firefighting and how you landed up here in Seattle as a chief.
Yeah, you know, it's been a couple days now. I started my journey in municipal firefighting over 32 years ago in November of 1989. But before that, where I actually became familiar with the fire service was serving in the United States Air Force. I was a firefighter for 5 years, from 1984 to 1989. And that's what really opened my eyes up to this profession. You know, it's all about team. I was a kid growing up. I played football, basketball, baseball, loved hard work, loved discipline, that team aspect. And so it really resonated with me with the fire service, because we have all of those things. You don't do anything alone. Everything you do is a team. It's all about for the mission. You know, as a team sports guy growing up, we had a mission to win the game, to run the play, whatever it is. Our mission in the Seattle Fire Department is pretty simple: saving lives and protecting property. We can all get behind that. So when I started in Glendale in '89, I was there for 26 years, transitioned through all the ranks, and I became the chief in 2008, where I was a chief from 2008 to 2015. And then I was looking for a bit more of a challenge. So, you know, my wife and I talked about it, and we saw the Seattle Fire Chief job was open. So we applied. And I say we, because it's definitely a family decision. We uprooted our family and relocated to Seattle, and we've been here tomorrow, April 1st. 2015 is when I started. So April 1st, 2022 will be my 7-year anniversary here in Seattle.
Hold on, you've been the chief for 7 years?
I've been here 7 years tomorrow.
Congratulations, Chief.
Thank you.
Wow. I had no idea. Did you know that, Josephine? 7 years. Hot dog. Man, if you don't, like, I'm glad that you said we, because I knew that it wasn't nothing going to happen without the other half, but it also speaks to the commitment and the teamwork that you have with your wife and your family, because this is a very high profile job in a very high profile and challenging city.
Absolutely. You know, my wife is probably my number one advisor. You know, I talk to her about most things, and she gives me that unfiltered advice that some don't give me, but I can always count on her for that. So it's definitely a team.
Right. And, you know, speaking of my, the memories of my childhood, you know, it hasn't always been where the percentage of Black firefighters is kind of as low as it is right now. I mean, a generation ago, there was a good amount of Black firefighters here in the city of Seattle, right?
That is true. I did a little research on that, and probably in the late 90s, early 2000s, about 12% of the fire department were Black firefighters. That's about 120 out of 1,000 sworn firefighters. Right now, we're about 6%. But over the last several years, we've been moving in the right direction on not just Black firefighters, but people of color and women. So it has fallen off over the last 20 years. That's why our efforts have been so intentional with our recruitment workshops that we're doing. The King County Fire Chiefs, we sponsor women and EMS and fire events, 2-day workshops. And then you mentioned the Seattle colleges earlier. About a year ago, we kicked off a fire science degree program at North Seattle College, where those in the community can actually go and earn an associate's degree in fire science. And they're actually taking registration right now for the next quarter.
Right. And the Seattle Fire Department has also been innovative. I know this wasn't one of the things we're going to discuss today. Don't worry, I won't take a while, of course.
Okay.
But I will say this: the Seattle Fire Department, especially during COVID, was very innovative and actually a national leader in some of the things that our fire department and our EMS did here. Maybe you could hit on some of that, let our community know the leadership role that the Seattle Fire Department took.
Sure, absolutely. When we walked into COVID 2 years ago this month, a little bit before that, you know, our goal was to determine how can we continue to serve community. And what we knew is our firefighters had to be healthy to do that, and the community had to have that trust in us. So we got approval from Seattle King County Public Health and the State Department of Health to start testing ourselves in March of 2020. That was going so well, we spread it to first responders throughout the region. And then we saw help was needed in our adult family homes, assisted living facilities, and nursing homes. So we actually got permission to go in there and start doing testing to help those populations. And then June of 2020, we opened up our first community testing site. And I'll speed it up a little bit because July 31st of 2021, we transitioned those sites to Seattle King County Public Health and the University of Washington. But up to that point, Seattle firefighters had COVID tested almost 800,000 people. To me, that's absolutely amazing. Departments from all over the country, they called us. They wanted our blueprint. How did you do it? How did you set it up? So we shared it nationally.
Yo, this is the reason why this is dope. And I didn't think about this when I asked the question, but the big light bulb just went off in my head, is that our fire chief, who's been here for 7 years, who looks like a lot of people who watch this platform, you guys innovated a program that fire departments across America were like, man, what are you guys doing right there in Seattle? That's what's up, Chief.
Yeah, it made a difference. And we transitioned it into our vaccinations. We work with so many community-based organizations, and we went into places where people couldn't get to a vaccination site. And we tested, we vaccinated over 300,000 people. And here's the most important fact with that. Over 50% were people of color. So people who didn't have access, people who couldn't get to a site, we went to them. We took the vaccinations to them. So we're really proud of these programs.
Yeah. Excuse me. I remember early on, even up in places like First AME, and a lot of the firefighters, a lot of the early places in vaccination were places in community.
Yes.
We were up there, First AME.
Yeah. And, yesterday was a bit of a milestone. Yesterday, we had our final community vaccination event. So the last 2 years, we stood up all these programs. And yesterday, we had our last event. We're always available in case the community needs us again. But we finally stood down those programs after the last 2 years.
Yeah, look at that. Seattle Fire Department standing up big for community. That's what's up, Chief. One other thing I wanted to touch on, and then we'll circle back around to recruitment, is one of the things that I think we all see here in Seattle is that we're a city that's dealing with a lot of people around mental health and mental health crisis. One of the things stories we've covered with you before has been around Health One. And maybe you can tell everybody about Health One. And I believe it's more than just one now, like the program has grown.
It is. It has grown. We started the program in November of 2019 as a pilot. We had an idea and a concept of how can we better serve community once again. You'll continue to hear that theme. So we see what everyone else sees on the street, and our firefighters were always trying to figure out a new way to serve. So when we launched Health One, our goal was, one, we were going to try to tackle those low acuity calls, those calls that need social service needs, those calls that may impact an individual's mental health, those individuals that may be suffering from addiction, and a number of other fronts. So we launched Health One on that premise. And I got to tell you, it's worked so well in really trying to serve people. Instead of our firefighters going on a fire engine and spending, 20 minutes, and our only outlet was to take a person to the ER, Health One has multiple options. Number one, well, do you need a doctor's appointment? Well, let's figure out how to get you a doctor's appointment. If we respond to someone's home and we look around the surroundings, we say, hey, are you in touch with your social worker? If not, well, there's 2 firefighters and a social worker. Let's get your social worker on the phone. Do you need some food? Do you need a blanket? Do you need a ride to the shelter? Or because they're firefighters, they can actually do a medical exam. And if they need an EMS response, we can get that too. So we've continued to grow the program. And as you mentioned, now we have Health One, Health Two, and Health Three. And what we're really excited about, we're close to signing the final pieces on the lease. It's actually going to be off of Rainier, across from Franklin High School. So it's going to be stationed out of there. So we have 3 units right now, and we're really excited about the work that we're doing serving community.
Right. And this is important, people out there should know, is that this is when we talk about also a response, a non-911 response, 911 meaning police response to somebody who might be in mental distress or crisis. Health One is an alternative to that, because some people who are arriving are approaching it in the capacity of, hey, this is someone in crisis. How can we best serve them? So this is also something where it's not a police armed response. This is more of a social response.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I'll even build on that with one more that I haven't told you about. On February 8th, we actually launched a nurse line. So a person calls 911, our firefighter dispatchers, they'll go through the EMD medical protocols and they'll realize it's not a 911 emergency. We now have the ability to transfer the call to a nurse so the nurse can take the time that's needed, set up a doctor's appointment, or teach them how to do self-care, or call 911 and get us back. So we launched that program on February 8th. It's taken about 200 calls a week out of the 911 system, getting people the proper care that they need and follow-up appointments. So we're really excited about that too.
Man, that's what's up, Chief. All right, circling back, excuse me, to the event on the 8th, and we're going to go ahead and we'll put up the overlay, and you can tell us all about it again.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I'll remind the community that our firefighter applications are open, but on April 9th at our training center at 9401 Myers Way, we're going to be holding a diversity recruitment workshop. Everyone can go onto the King County Fire Chief's website at kingcountyfirechiefs.org. They can register for the event. We have 4 sessions planned for you that day, one on preparing for the oral interview, one on how to take the written exam, how to prepare mentally and physically for the job, and then medical, psych, and background process. We're going to serve you a continental breakfast. We're going to bring you lunch so you don't have to leave for anything, and we're going to connect you up with a mentor if that's what you need. So we're really excited about that day.
Yeah, and I think that I think one of the best things and why I was excited to have you on here is that, you know, it's an intentional effort, and it's not just lip service. Sometimes people send us stuff, hey, can you talk about this and that? And I'm like, you know, but this is something that you've been on. There's something that you've been committed to, something that I've seen building, like, you know, over the last almost 2 years that I've known you personally, that I've seen you building towards. And so I want to say to you guys out there in community, man, firefighting, that's a honorable profession anywhere in the world. And the Seattle Fire Department, I can't believe 7 years under Chief Scoggins here, man, being very intentional and wanting to reach out to community members. He said what the qualifications are. I would really encourage everybody. We put the link in the comments over there. So man, click the link in the comments. If you know somebody who is interested in becoming a firefighter, I think it's very important that they attend. Is there anything else before we let you go, Chief?
Well, thanks for having me on. And then I'll just do that final plug. You know, on seattlefireJobs.com, before you even fill out the application, if you scroll down, we have 3 webinars already posted that we've done in the month of March. So you'll be able to watch these webinars and get even more information. We're excited about it. We want to make sure that we're representing our community, and this is a way where we can connect with our community. So thank you for having me on.
All right. Seattle Fire Chief Harold Scoggins. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.